Welcome to Conversation Corner. My name is Jim Lehan, and I'm here today as a member of the King Philip School Committee, and I have with me Dr. Richard Drolet, who is our first-year superintendent. We had the great pleasure of doing this when you first came on board, and we thought it would be a good opportunity, especially around budget time and the end of the first adventure for you in the school year, to sort of get a recap of how you think things went. And actually, I've been dying to ask you this question. I know you had expectations around King Philip. You visited us, you were aware of us, you knew a lot about the school. What do you think now? You're a year into it.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. First of all, my second episode on Conversation Corner.
Conversation Corner, too.
Yeah, no, it's been a great start for me overall. I think my expectations have, been exceeded, to be honest. The people have just been great. I've been so impressed with all of the staff, all of the kids, just really great people who seem to want what's best for each other and to support education and for the district. So I've really been impressed with the staff who I've probably dealt with the most, the administrators, a lot of the teachers, and also the kids. I've met a couple times with I have a superintendent high school student advisory group. The kids have been great, and I want to do the same in the future with middle school kids as well. But the staff and the kids have been great. I think my expectations have been exceeded with the offerings. So the extracurriculars are top notch, and we have lots of great programs. Obviously, we have a lot of AP classes for higher level students, but also other things that I hadn't known about going in. I had heard about great music program, and I had heard about DECA, for example, but just other things like we have a great peer mentoring program at the high school. A lot of the things done at the middle school with teaming are done very well. We also have student council. Mrs. Sneed does a great job with, so there's just a lot of great things happening in the district. So I'm just getting to be a part of it now, and Friday night I got to play in the teacher band at the variety show, Friday Night Live. So just learning about some of the annual traditions they do, being a part of it, going to more sporting events. I'd heard about our sports coming in. Sports are great. We were fortunate to win the Super Bowl this year, undefeated. So it's just been, my expectations have been exceeded. It's just really a great district, and whatever myself and others can do to try to move the district forward is what I'm really excited about for the future.
When you came on board, at the same time, we also lost our principal. Right. And we have a new principal that you were directly responsible for bringing into the school. Maybe talk a little bit about how that's gone.
Yeah, so the new high school principal, Nicole Bottomley, Miss Bottomley, she's excellent. She's someone who's exceeded my expectations. I didn't know her coming in, but through the interview process, as you know, before I started July 1 last spring, Mr. Zinni, the previous superintendent, was kind enough to let me be a part of the process and ultimately pick the new high school principal. And she's exceeded expectations. She's really student focused, also very organized, very hard worker. And like myself, I think we've had many conversations where she's learning a lot about the high school, and there's so much happening every day at the high school. So she's learning about everything that happens, but also how to make improvements moving forward into the future as well. And as you know, these things take some time. So some improvements will be for the next 24-25 school year. Some other bigger improvements or changes might need to be the following school year. But with her and I both in place, as well as Miss Cruiser, the middle school principal, is great. For the unforeseeable future, I'm excited about the direction and to work as part of a team that we're really aligned with, what we want, which is best for kids and staff.
When we were doing the search, which seems like an eternity ago now, one of the things that I remember we were all so impressed with was your student focus. And you constantly referenced involvement with the kids. Ms. Bottomley has also done that. Mm-hmm. And speaking as a school committee member, this year we have had more interaction with students whether it be recognition or participation or whatever. We've had more students involved in our meetings than I can remember at any time. And I just think that's terrific. And I remember you talking about going around the different schools and with your portable desk. Mm-hmm. How's that worked out?
Good. So I just did 2 weeks in the fall, and I'll do that every year at least. The best, as a superintendent and having been a teacher, assistant principal, assistant superintendent, and now superintendent, unfortunately you get further removed from the classroom. But something that the best part of my week or day is usually spent with the students, interacting with the kids. And the kids will tell you like it is, and they're really our ultimately our clients, our customers, and we want to do right by them. And I've just always been kind of a hands-on superintendent, and we as a leadership team we're trying to get into classrooms more. Starting this spring or next year, we'll do even more walkthroughs into classrooms, just informally, see what's happening, talk to the students. Mm-hmm. What are you learning? How's it going? But also informally, talking to kids at sporting events. And now that I've started to be here, 9 or 10 months now, and the school year is about 2/3 through, starting to get to know individual students that I've had conversations with, or to your point, wanting to recognize staff or students at school committee meetings for the good things that they do. I'll write students thank you notes, touch base with them to acknowledge when I hear about something good that they've done that also is good for our community. So that's something that I think is very important, and that's just my style as a superintendent.
Well, you ran into one of my grandkids when you were doing that, and they mentioned to me that they had met you, and the comment, and this is no reflection of prior regime, it's just a matter of style, saying they had never met or seen a superintendent before.
Okay.
So,
what was that recently? Or
I don't remember exactly when,
right.
But when it was fairly recent. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's the kids know who you are, and I think that's just wonderful. You have become so involved with students that it sends a message, I think, to the kids, and I know it did to my grandchild.
And I think the principals are great. They're the same way. Oftentimes when I go to meet with the principal, they're meeting with students, not just in the stereotypical discipline setting, but I stopped by just to see Ms. Bottomley the other day, and she was meeting with a group of students from a student council who want to do more outside of the high school for the community. So we had great conversations, and they had some great ideas. So trying to nurture that, promote even more student leadership in our community, because it is happening with a lot of great clubs and in pockets at the high school, but to do even more with that.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the challenges that we face. We've going through a budget cycle. We had some unexpected events that occurred during the course of the year that put us a little bit behind in terms of the finances, and we've had to do some hard work. I'm on the finance committee with you, as along with 2 other of my fellow members, and I just want to say that given a difficult situation, you and your staff, I think, have done an outstanding job in working through these minefields and coming up with the best possible solution out of a bad situation. And maybe you can talk just a little bit about some of the steps that we're having to take. They're unfortunate. I know we'll be losing some personnel, but these are decisions we have to make in order to make sure that this isn't a repetitive situation next year and that it gets compounded. And next year we should be far more stable in that regard. A situation you did not create, you inherited, but you've worked your way through that. And I'm not sure. I know we're going to be doing it at the advisory board meeting for those at home, and of course you'll see the presentations in town meeting, and we went through it again last night in the school committee meeting, so we don't have to go through that level of detail, but maybe you can just highlight a couple of the things that you and the staff have worked on to help mitigate this.
Yeah, so it'll be a difficult budget year for the 24-25 school year for FY25, and as you know, we build our budget in the winter and it begins to get enacted in the spring and then ultimately starts July 1. So something I didn't anticipate was this would be the my second year, the FY25 school year, would be such a difficult budget year. I don't think King Philip is the only district experiencing this, but it's going to be difficult because we are going to have to reduce some staff. Hopefully more will just be through attrition and not filling some positions, people retiring, things like that, but there will need to be some cuts for some non-tenured teachers. As I sent an email communication out to staff this morning, our goal is to make decisions strategically to have the least detrimental impact on student learning and programming, but also with staff with integrity. And we're very sensitive to what people's circumstances might be, conversations that we're having. We're just being very upfront with people to let them know where things stand. Things are always subject to change, but it will be a difficult spring because there'll be conversations with, 10 to 20 individuals that positions will change for next year. In some cases, people might change positions based on certification or seniority. So it is going to be a difficult year. I think the only saving grace is that over the past maybe 3 to 7 years, enrollment has gone down, and King Philip has been able to add staff. So where we'll end up being won't be any worse off than necessarily 5 years ago, but it will take time to build back up staff and programming. So, and also we have a goal to increase enrollment, which would in turn increase funding to be able to add more.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year, but we're turning the corner on it, and we'll be okay. We're going to be okay. We're beginning a new process. We started this last night, and we're beginning a new strategic plan for the school. I know you brought in a consultant. We met for the first time last evening, and it was interesting. It's an interesting process. Tell a little bit about how that process is going to go and how the community will be involved.
Sure. So the timing is good.
I guess I'm your guinea pig for the school committee as well.
You put your finger on your note.
I did.
Or you didn't put your finger on your nose.
No, I didn't either. I didn't see any of their hands coming up.
Well,
so anyway.
Hopefully we'll have another school committee member too.
Hope.
But through the timing works out well with me being a new superintendent. It just so happened the King Philip strategic plan was 2019 to 2024, and we all know things changed or went sideways in 2020 with COVID in the past few years in our schools. But so we're going to do a new 5-year strategic plan. So let's say 2024 to 2029. It could be 3 years, 3 to 5 years, but thinking long term because we should have stable leadership. And I'm just very excited because it coincides with my entry plan. And so this spring, the next 3 months, as part of the strategic plan, this week we're doing 7 focus groups. Students, parents, town leaders, administrators, teaching staff at both schools. That'll be some anecdotal data that the consultant is doing now, looking at strengths, opportunities for growth, challenges that we face as a district. And that we've sent a survey out. I've been very impressed. Over 600 people completed the survey in the first week. We sent it to students, parents, and faculty. That will close this Friday, and then beginning next week, we'll have a group of about 15 to 20. We'll call it yourself and myself will be on at the district strategic planning committee, where we will meet 5 or 6 times between now and June, and we will not only look at the data that's been collected, but we'll talk about our vision for the future of King Philip and basically set goals that can help the school committee set goals, myself set goals, and other administrators as a school district. Ultimately, those goals will trickle down to teachers with teacher goals and create new opportunities for students. So it's very exciting. We're getting a ton of feedback, and then be able to take that and formalize a new plan for the district to move forward. So that's the strategic planning process, which will be happening pretty quickly in the next few months, and hopefully have a new strategic plan approved by the school committee by June or July.
That's the plan. The timing of this is really quite good. I mean, with you coming in, having your first year and getting settled and knowing the system a little bit better, it's the perfect opportunity to begin a new strategic plan. Because I know one of the things that we were encouraged by you arriving here is the opportunity to take us to that next step. I think we have a pretty good school system, but we can always be better. And that's true of all of us in everything we do. We can always do a little better. And we're excited about this process. So hopefully end up in the right direction, and we'll be able to facilitate and execute on some of these plans that we put in place. The follow-through is all that matters. So we've created a lot of plans over the years, but the follow-through has been a little lax on occasion because we get distracted, things happen, and we still have to run a school.
And it's interesting to start to hear some of the constituents. We just had our first focus group sessions yesterday, some students and some staff, and school committee as well. And it's some of the things that I'm hearing just sitting in the back are validated through observations I've had. And so to be able to take, I think we can do some short-term wins without necessarily a new strategic plan. For example, the principals and I have talked about really, trying to keep kids in district. In the next year, we've talked about changes where 8th graders going to 9th grade, how to really talk about the benefits and the great things happening at the high school to keep as many 8th graders in district as possible, and also 6th graders coming into 7th grade. So there's some easy wins. We're looking at instructional practices, trying to do more best practice in the classroom, and some longer term goals, which I think I had already identified as new superintendent goals that some others starting to talk about, might involve more innovation. So more innovative learning experiences, or increasing opportunities for kids to have, maybe at the high school, for example, internships in the community and careers they might be interested in. Or maybe we could have more early college opportunities for we heard yesterday about, we have a lot of great AP offerings and academic courses and classes for higher level kids, and we have great programming for special education or kids with some plans. But maybe some of the kids in the middle we could do more for with opportunities. So, I think there's a lot that we can do moving forward that we might already have infrastructures or personnel in place to implement.
So as you look to next year, now that your entry plan is no longer an entry plan, so to speak, having got that year under your belt, what do you see as your number one priority for next year?
Well, that's a good.
Is that a list too long?
No, it's a good question. It'll be interesting to see what happens with all of the feedback we get in. I haven't identified a number one priority yet, but I think really is overall, generally speaking, increasing opportunities for kids. We have a lot of great opportunities now for with extracurriculars, sports, music, for example, and we have some great courses, higher level courses. But maybe what more can we do for kids? Kids, for example, who might not necessarily be on the college track, that might be interested in careers, or maybe we have course sequences at the high school where we can develop pathways where kids, DECA, for example, is a great business courses, business pathways. Maybe there's a pathway strategically for business or finance. Maybe there's one for kids that want to be engineers. We have great courses that will lead towards kids going into engineering, but maybe we can offer more, particularly at the high school level, or an exploratory way where kids can determine if there's certain pathways or careers they might want to try out or not, even if they're not college bound.
I know some of the courses that have been offered that provide college credits have been really successful. My grandson's an example of that. He's down at the University of Richmond, and he actually had almost a half a semester credited to him before he ever showed up at the door. Yeah, thanks to the courses offered at King Philip. So
yeah, that's great, and we're exploring. That's when they say early college. We're exploring. We do have a partnership through Massasoit Community College, but we want to explore too to have more opportunities for whether we have high school teachers who are adjuncts who can teach a college course that that is has a syllabus that's a course they're already teaching, or there's kids that can take online courses instead of a study at the high school, or to get kids off campus to take actual courses on college campuses is I think would be a goal as well.
Last night at the school committee meeting, we talked about kids' involvement in the committee. And one of the issues that came up that I thought was very intriguing, and I just ask your thoughts on it because we didn't get a chance to talk after the meeting, is having a student actually on the committee, engaged in the conversations, engaged in the debate. They may not have a vote, but they can have full input to the conversation. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a great idea, and your feeling is the same, I think?
Yeah, it's something that we're exploring now with the high school. Need to talk to Mrs. Sneed, the student council advisor, more. You know, she recently communicated to us that our student reps should now be comfortable participating in discussions. I would want to make sure the students have a heads up or aware of what I might or we might solicit their feedback for as it relates to something that we might be discussing at a school committee meeting, so they don't feel on the spot. But there's also a statewide council who I think Ms. Sneed has been in touch with, where there's a leadership group where there's liaisons. So each towns that have students that are at school committee meetings that are more active participate in a group statewide, a leadership group. So that's something that we're looking into as well.
Yeah, I think that would be exciting. I think, and the more we can involve the kids, I think one of the comments made, I won't take credit for it, was treat them as adults. Mm-hmm. And let them get involved in the process. It is their school in many regards, mm-hmm. and I just, the more of that we can do, I think the better, and I know that's your feeling as well. So we haven't had a lot of that at KP in prior years, and I think that student involvement is really great.
Well, and the student feedback we're getting from the focus groups and the surveys, I mean, is, you know, perhaps the most valuable, because you know, they're directly in our schools, you know, 6 to 10 hours a day, and they're telling us, you know, what might need to be done differently, and that's you know, something that we take very seriously and want to do right for the kids. So
yeah, one of the initiatives I know that we're doing right now is regarding student health and well-being. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about some of the programs that we're implementing in school to help kids in that way, because I know, having seen some of that data, it's alarming to me, and it's national data, and you know, as well as local. So this is not an isolated problem, but you know, some kids struggle, and you know, this. When I grew up, bullying started at 9 in the morning and ended at 3. Now it's a 24-hour a day syndrome. The goods and bads of the world we live in. But we've initiated, I know, a lot of programs to help these kids, both on a referral basis and also internally. And I know we shared some of that last night, but maybe you can just highlight a few of the things that we're doing for these kids.
Sure.
It is, the mental health of our kids is paramount.
Yeah, and to your point, we have seen an increase in student, you know, mental health issues or at-risk, students at risk. There has been a risen, I think, you know, nationally since COVID. You know, kids out of school did not help, and students increasingly on social media, I think increasingly has proven is not good for kids. So there's a number of things. You know, certainly school has changed, and we focus not just on the academics, but also the social emotional well-being of kids as they're with us throughout the day. And I think teachers do a phenomenal job with kids. It's certainly changed from when you or I went to school. So some things at the middle school, you know, they've removed cell phones at the middle school.
One of the popular events of the day.
And there's an implementation dip, and some kids have been pretty creative with having burner cell phones or duct tape cell phones to put in the pouches to be put away every day. But there has been a decrease in students using cell phones at the middle school, and I think the teachers and we think that that's a positive. In addition to that, the middle school is implemented very well with a committee of teachers, Lisa McIntyre, PBIS, which stands for Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports, which is research-based practices that show when you interact with a kid, you'd have to do so in an affirming, positive, uplifting way. If your interactions as a teacher to student or administrator to student is all corrections and all negative, that's not going to be good for the kid. So in addition to that, we have you know, counseling supports at the schools, but we've also partnered. We got a grant, something called Care Solace, where 24/7 students or families can call, and it's like an agency that can put kids or families in touch with resources and supports they need, whether it's a phone call 24/7, a student having an issue, or helping parents to navigate resources. For example, if you can't see a counselor right away, they can help with that. So they do some activities at the middle school on their teams that focus on the well-being, overall well-being of children, kids just having time to be kids. And the high school as well. The high school is starting to do more, and I knew the high school principal is excited about moving forward. I think it'll probably be a lot through a guidance curriculum or a social emotional curriculum that we'll start to see more formalized at the middle and high school to try to meet their mental health needs.
Well, Andrew is giving us a thumbs up, so we're running late here.
Sure.
But as chair of the school committee, I've had the chance to work with you a lot this year, and I have to say it's been a delight. And for those at home, I just want to share with you that there is a lot of very hard data that says that the longer you can keep the good management in place, the more beneficial it is to the school and the students. And the school committee agrees with that, and unanimously have extended Dr. Drolet's contract to make sure that we don't lose him. We want to keep him a lot longer. And we finalized and voted on that last night, and it's a great pleasure to know that you're going to be with us for a long time.
Well, and I'm privileged really to be able to serve as the superintendent, and it's something that I enjoy doing, want to continue to do, and I really enjoy working well with you as well. As I've shared with you too, besides just the superintendent or school administrators, the longevity and stable leadership for a school committee also is beneficial, I think the research shows, to a school district. So looking forward to continuing to work with you as well.
You're stuck with me for a couple more years anyway.
Yeah, 2 more at least.
At least.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go with 2.
All right.
But anyway, thank you for doing this with me. Hopefully you found it informative. Dr. Drolet is a fountain of knowledge. We'll do this again once next year starts up and you're getting another look at what needs to get done and what you think is going well, and it's always good to share with the community. So thanks for spending some time with us. And
thank you.
For those at home, hopefully you find this helpful, and thank you, and have a great day.
Thanks.